The police on Wednesday arrested Momodou Sabally, the campaign manager of the main opposition United Democratic Party, after initially inviting him for questioning. The police did not say why Sabally was arrested, but in a Facebook post, it said he was smoothly undergoing the investigation process and that he was granted all permission to legal representation. We are now joined by Sabally's wife, Jaysar, for details about his arrest.
On Wednesday at around a few minutes to 5 o'clock, I got a phone call from him, and he just told me that the police were at the house and they had invited him for questioning. But while they were there, they also got orders that he should be arrested right away. So there was even a little bit of a scuffle between them and my siblings and my nephew. But then, he just agreed to go with them, and that was that. Since then, it's like he was transferred to 2 different locations, and he has been detained since Wednesday.
And have you had access, including unlimited access to him since his arrest?
Well, it was difficult, but now at least we can take him his lunch and his clothes and the basics that he needs there.
And then news just emerged on the social media that the High Court has granted permission to the security authorities to detain him longer. Can you confirm that?
Yes, I've also just been given that information, and I am understanding that they're detaining him up to January 5th. This is a court extension given by the court, and it hasn't even been told to him. He is not aware of that at this point. So I've never heard of such a thing, because my understanding is that after 72 hours, somebody should be granted bail or taken to court. And the 72 hours is supposed to elapse tomorrow. And now I'm hearing about this court extension, which I've really never heard about. I don't even know if it is something that is in our law books, actually.
And Jay, what are your concerns or your worst fears for him at this moment?
I'm just really concerned about his health. I'm concerned about his safety, because I feel like the government is unfairly detaining him, and they have no grounds. Because from what I'm hearing is the detention is a result of a video clip he made while he was giving a motivational speech to some youths, and of which the government completely took out of context and only honed in on about a few seconds of the whole conversation, taking everything out of context and wanting to use that to pin this man down. It doesn't make any sense. And we can tell that this government, the government of President Adama Barrow, is now taking the law into their own hands. It's really eroding everything that this transition has been about. And he has gone rogue. Let me tell you, the government of Adama Barrow has gone rogue in this country, and Gambians are not going to sit and allow that to happen. Mm-hmm. I fear the worst for him, but I'm still holding on to hope that there is a smidge of decency in our president, that he will do the right thing, and I hope he doesn't prove me wrong.
And Jay, it seems Sabally is a thorn in the flesh of this government. Would you say this arrest and detention is another spirited campaign of the state or by the state to silence him?
Yeah, certainly. I would definitely say that. I think they've tried in all sorts of ways to do that, and this is just one more. But what is even wrong and more dangerous is the angle that they are taking to try to pin him down, to try to silence his voice. I think the voices of dissent should be encouraged so that the president understands what's happening, what's wrong in this country, so that the government understands what's wrong in this country. But silencing all opposition, no, I don't think that is a healthy country that we can live in as Gambians.
Jaysar, the wife of detained opposition UDP campaign manager Momodou Sabally. And for more on the detention of Sabally, here is his lawyer, Abdullahi Fati.
Sabally was arrested on Wednesday at around 5 p.m. I was notified shortly afterwards, and I went to the PIU headquarters in Kanifing to have access to him. And I arrived there around 7 p.m. When I requested to see my client, that I understood he was arrested, and I needed to see him. The officer, the low-ranking PIU that I found went inside to inquire, later came back and said that I couldn't see him at that particular time because they weren't ready. I protested that as his counsel, that was his constitutional entitlement, and that there should not have been any delay whatsoever in him having access to his lawyer. So I asked for probably the officer responsible, and shortly afterwards, one ASP Sar, who I must say was very helpful, came. He went inside, came back, and again told me that I couldn't see him at that particular time. Again, I protested, but there should not have been any delay. But he asked me to wait. I waited. About 30 minutes, 45 minutes later, I was escorted in, and I had an opportunity to meet with my client.
And what was his condition, or what was he doing when you met him?
When I arrived at the hall where Sabally was, he actually found him praying. You know, he finished his prayers, and then there was like a panel of police investigators, and they wanted to interrogate him. And I told them that since I was there, before they took any further step, that it was appropriate that I had access to my clients in terms of consultation. So I requested that before they asked him any further question, that I wanted to speak to my client and consult with him, which they granted. So, you know, I moved to decide with Sabally, and we had about a 15-20-minute consultation, and we came back, and the proceedings continued.
Did the authorities tell you why he was arrested and being detained? What was he being questioned about?
So essentially, Sabally hasn't been charged with any crime up to now, but the gist of his arrest and detention is in relation to a statement contained in an audio. On the 14th of this month, some UDP youth TikTokers visited him at his residence in Kirseri. So he was addressing that group, saying that there was going to be a massive, aggressive UDP mobilization in order to form a majority. So essentially what he was trying to say was that by forming a majority in a democracy, then you had legitimacy, and particularly made reference to the upcoming local government elections in 2023. And he particularly mentioned, or specifically mentioned, the mayors of Banjul and KM in relation to their achievements since assuming office. So in essence, the whole rationale and the context of the statements that Mr. Sabally made was in relation to political mobilization to form a majority, and by forming a majority, that you were seizing power through democratic means from the incumbent. The entire audio is just under 11 minutes, but 19 seconds of that was extracted into a standalone segment, and it is that standalone edited version that is circulating on social media, in which the only thing that people can hear is that Mbabanko Talabul. So it is completely taken and blown out of proportion when separated from the entire context, the entire audio. He did not in any way try to say that he was suggesting or propagating or instigating any unlawful change of regime whatsoever. But the whole transaction in terms of the interview seemed to have centered primarily on that issue, because the police wanted to clarify what he meant by Mbabonko Talabule.
Do you have any concern at all about his welfare, what may happen to him? Would you say this whole arrest and detention is politically motivated?
I'm very much concerned about his welfare, because I don't think he should have been detained longer than it's necessary. I think everything has been blown out of proportion. And I believe there may be forces, there may be political forces because of the nature of Sabally, because of the political cloud that he has in this country, that perhaps in order to restrict his ability to speak, that you frame some malicious, politically motivated charge or charges against him, perhaps charges that may deny him bail, where he may have to go to prison. I am not saying that would happen, but it is not improbable, and that would be motivated by politics. So I am deeply concerned at the direction that this is taken.
Abdullahi Fati, a lawyer representing detained UDP campaign manager Momodou Sabally. Still in the Gambia, a parliamentary committee on Tuesday recommended that the Indian pharmaceutical company whose cough and cold syrups have been linked to the deaths of at least 70 children be banned and prosecuted. In October, the World Health Organization issued an alert over 4 syrups made by Maiden Pharmaceuticals based in northern India may be linked to the deaths of young Gambian children who died from acute kidney injuries. The findings announced by WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus follow tests on several medicinal syrups that were suspected of causing 66 child deaths in the Gambia at the time. The Gambia has already recalled all cough and cold syrups in circulation in the country as